Hello, everyone. Mackie here, and welcome to the second edition of the Road to MSI. This episode, we're going to cover all the regions. We're going to look at score. We're going to look at results from all the big four regions, my thoughts, and then in the next video that I'm going to do is going to be a little bit of MSI archives. Historical MSI tournaments that happens in the past to give you some context about the midseason invitational and what is it all about and the importance of it. So that would be a separate video from what I'm gonna do. But today we are going to look at all the happenings that's going on, which teams qualified and all kind of stuff. Sorry about that. Where was I? Oh yeah, we're gonna go through all the scores, which team qualified for MSI or closer to qualify for MSI. And then in my next video, I will tell you the historical accounts of every single MSI that are played up to this point. And we're gonna talk in our first video, we're gonna talk about the very first MSI, the one that EDG won, overcoming and upsetting T1 in the most incredible way possible. So, without being ado, let's look at the LCK. Now, the LCK, Gen G, Hana Life Esports have qualified as the top two, so these two will play each other. Winner will go to MSI. T1 and Ocean first force. T1 will be the third seed. They'll be playing in the lower part of the lower part of the bracket. Nosh and Red Force will represent fourth, and those are all the matches. And you can see off the road to MSI, the bracket looks like it's a D plus KT roster matchup in round one. Then Notch and Bradford. Then the winner will take on Notch and Bradford, and then the winner will take on T1. And then this matchup, keep your date in mind, 10 days out from when I'm recording this, the 13th of June, Gen G versus Honda Life Esports. Winner will go to MSI. And then the 15th of June, that's another important date, winner will go to MSI. Now, if T1 were to qualify for EWC as defending champions, finish in the top two, or qualified for MSI, the third place team will replace them. If T1 does not make it, the top two will easily go to MSI and EWC. Now, you notice there is a kicker here. Because the league phase of the LCK rounds 1 and 2 are not finished yet. What do you mean? Because we don't know who is going to be 5th or 6th between D Plus and KT roster. They both have the same score and they both have the same record. And yes, while D Plus have one game in it, that does not mean it's a tiebreaker. That does not constitute a tiebreaker. So, D Plus and KT roster tomorrow at the morning, at the time of recording this, we'll be playing a tiebreaker game. And that is a best of 3 match. The winner of the best of 3 match will finish 5th and will be playing in the Legends group. And the loser of this matchup will go to Rise group. So, it's a pretty big deal. And the difference between the Legends group and the Rise group is so huge because if you look at the rounds 3 and 5 section of it, you can see that. Look at the teams that are in there: Gen G, Hana Life, T1, Nosh and Red Force, who were looking pretty good. It's pretty good. And then you got the other teams, and then you got Freer X, Breon, DRX, and Freaks. Neither of these teams are capable enough to match them. And the difference is huge because if you are you have if you have to finish top 2 in the Legends group to advance to round 2, and then the third and fourth place teams will be in round 1, and then the bottom team of the Legend group and the top 3 teams of the play-in will automatically go through. So this one series between KT roster and D Plus will determine so much in terms of positioning in the Legends group, playoff seedings, and most importantly, one step closer to make it to Worlds. As you can see in the playoffs, it's basically the same format, and also it will determine the LCK champion, the real LCK champion. The Road2MSI does not count as a championship. This tournament determines who will become champion of the LCK and determine our top three teams for Worlds. So the KT Worlds. So while tomorrow's game is not that important in the grand scheme of things, in terms of like table stand-ins and legends and rise groups, it will have a huge implication of it. Now, as for predictions, I think it'll be a cloud fiesta. I think it'll be an absolute clown fiesta between these two. And I'm just gonna close, and I'm gonna cover my eyes and just say KT rolls their 2-1. You know, just for the fun of it. So that is the LCK. Onward to the LPL, and just this morning, let me just see, where is it? Okay, let me just this morning. Okay, there it is. Just this morning, um, anyone's legends just beat Weibo, and by the looks of this, and if you look at the bracket, just a couple of minutes, those are just the group stages, of course. Just look at the bracket. There it is. BLG will take on anyone's legend. That game is on June 9th. Winner of that one will go to the grand finals and go to Worlds. That'll be next week, Tuesday. And that will determine our second team or third team, depending on time. I believe by the time the LEC wraps up its layoffs, it will be like the third team. Yes, because Koi and Carmen Corp, which I'll get to later, will determine our second team to go to MSI. And BLG Anyone's Legends will be the third team to qualify for MSI. Now, as you can see, BLG just absolutely wiped the floor against Top Esports. And I have some interesting stats about BLG's first half of the season without Bejuan and the second half of the season with Bejuan. And you can say that, let's be brutally honest, Bejuan has been like Bejuan has become like the best player on BLG. And not by stats alone, but by his presence. It gives this team a different dimension, something that they have never have early on in the season. And it grow BLG into one of the best teams in probably LPL right now. As you can see, they just obliterated Top Esports. Like, Top Esports throughout the entire LPL are kind of like supposed to coast through the LPL and dominate the LPL and then win internationally and then flat on their face, rinse and repeat, all this kind of stuff. But instead, BLG just make an absolute mockery out of Top Esports. Elk, On, been MVPs of these matches. They were huge. And now they're facing off against anyone's Legends team that has been growing since last year or since last split. So I think it's been a really interesting matchup. I think BLG, the established veterans, could beat them, but I think anyone's Legends. And trust me, I will do a story about anyone's Legends rise from pretty mediocre team to like the top team in the LPL. But I'm going to do that video when anyone's Legend make MSI. So if anyone's Legend does make MSI, I will post that. I will do that video, talk about it, and do all that stuff. But you gotta hold your end of the bargain, anyone's Legend, if you're gonna do that. But you're gonna face a really tough team against BLG, who are with Bejuan look like the best team in the world right now. They look coordinated. They just dominate two of the best teams that are dropping the game. They have looked like probably the best team since Bejuan has arrived. And I feel like right now BLG could be the favorites to win LPL, maybe win MSI for God's sakes, if we get to that road. But we're far away from that. In the lower brackets will kick off tomorrow. FPX will take on Invictus Gaming, and then TWE will take on JDG. Those are from the 4th and the 5th. and then a couple of days will be like the elimination matches. So that is the LPL. Moving on to the LEC. Moving on to the LEC. And the LEC is just, by the way, we have our clear, by the way, to the surprise of absolutely no one, we have our clear top four. Fnatic and Giant X was not even close. Common Corp Team Heretics was not even close. Although you could say that Team Heretics won game two on the back of like, yes, a steal from Ari, but it almost feels like it was a Common Corp game until it was not. And then the last two games are kind of like calm, cool, collected, those kind of things. Not, that calm, cool, collected team effort that they do. Individual play style is amazing. And they did the exact same thing to Fnatic. And by God, it was not even close. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's just put it in perspective of the last time Fnatic have won an LEC. So do you know the best movie in 2018 was? In fact, let me just look at the best picture. The best picture for 2018 was A Shape of Water. Yeah, the last time Fnatic won an LEC title, The Shape of Water was awarded Best Picture. And that movie was like, was weird, I guess. And you're talking about the nominees for that movie. It was Phantom Thread, PTA movie, pretty decent, pretty good. The Post, pretty good. 3 billboards outside of MB Missouri. Lady Bird, Get Out, a really scary movie. Dunkirk was a nominee, and it just put The Shape of Water of all people. Like, and you thought Moonlight was weird. Jeez. But that is the level of frustration I have with Fnatic fans right now. That Fnatic have not won an LEC title since 2018. Virat Kohli, who has been with RCB for like 18 seasons, just won IPL. And you're telling me that Virat Kohli has won more IPL titles now than Fnatic in the LEC. Like, that is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. If I were a Fnatic fan, I will instantly quit this team right now. I would quit because your team has not improved much to say, like, be a better team. Like G2 or even Common Corp right now. Like, you're below Common Corp. You are now Common Corp's dog. And listen, I'm not condoning firing of coaches, although the Knicks actually canned the worm on Thibodeau right there. Sorry. I'm sorry, man, but the No. Razak Humanoid needs to go. They need to go. Razak Humanoid cannot be in the same atmosphere as each other. They cannot. This team just feels stuck for the last couple of years. And they look like a top 4 team. Fnatic are kind of like a top 4 team. But they're not like a championship team. G2 are a championship team. Common Corp is a championship team. Maybe Koi could be a championship team. But Fnatic just feels like they're stuck into that top 4, glass ceiling that haven't break through. And unfortunately, you cannot do that with Razak and Humanoid. I'm sorry, you just can't. Look at Common Corp, Vladdy, Yaikana. They are like bona fide players, and they played so brilliantly. They play so calm. They attack objectives pretty well. They were masterful in their compositions, and that's Fnatic doesn't have that. And it almost feels like when Fnatic have a bloody nose, they always like go into fetal position or go into surrender mode. And that's not Fnatic. Fnatic has been like, I feel like a shell of themselves. Now, listen, Fnatic are not Manchester United. They're not even close. But in terms of like, they have not succeeded towards the expectations of many fans. Like, Fnatic is supposed to be the symbolism of championships, of winning. And now they're like below Common Corp. They're below Common Corp. A team that are in their second year could qualify for the mid-season invitational and already won an LAC title and went to the international finals. Forever how Mickey Mouse that finals is, they went to an international finals. Fnatic have not done that since 2018. Like, is this what Fnatic fans wanted? Top fours, inconsistent plays, the same old BS year after year after year without success? Like, I know G2, even G2's bad years, they still managed to get like grand finals and top four and international events. At least they still make it to international events, even though the team is not that great somehow. At least Fnatic's, at least, well, one reason is cast, but at least G2 managed to be good when it matters the most. With De La Falga as coach, this team doesn't do anything. This team feels stuck. It's stuck, and I just don't know what is it with Fnatic that is hurting them. Because this has gone off in 2018. Trump was a president of the United States in his first term the last time Fnatic won. Like, I am sorry, but this cannot go on like this. I'm not a Fnatic fan, but I just and if you're thinking, listen, the good news is Fnatic are not as bad as like the team that I'm gonna mention later on. But man, you are just stuck, man. You are just stuck in the mud, and you just cannot change. The sad part about it, you're stuck with Humanoid until like the end of the season. You're pretty much you're stuck with Razok, and this team doesn't feel like that doesn't feel like an LEC championship team. That doesn't feel like an LEC championship team. This team doesn't feel like Worlds to me. Even if they qualify for Worlds, I don't see them getting out of the initial stage, the Swiss stage of Worlds. I just don't see it. I just don't see it from Fnatic. And unfortunately, Common Corp was a much, much better team overall in the day. And I am no surprise. I think Common Corp are kind of like the up and up team, and Fnatic are kind of like plateauing. Common Corp is like this, Fnatic is like this throughout the last couple of years. And it sucks. And even Koi, look at Koi. Koi's like, it's not there. They're not like, bad, but they're like right there-ish. Not high, but kind of like right there-ish. And now they have to face up against Common Corp, which is going to take place on the Saturday. Yes, Saturday. And the winner of that game will qualify for MSI alongside G2. And then the game between G2 will determine who will play in the bracket stage and who will play in the play-in portion of the MSI. So, I think that G2 can still win the LEC. We have seen this movie before. Every time we talk about G2 losing an LEC split, people will say that G2's empire has been crumbled, but I believe this is G2's revenge time. We've seen this before too many times. The G2 are not the kind of organization that loses 2 LECs in a row. That may not happen. And as great as Common Corp is, and maybe we might get the Common Corp G2 rematch that we are desperately needed. If we get that G2 Common Corp matchup, maybe I'll say G2 might beat them. And I think G2 could improve from that last split. But if Common Corp managed to win LEC again from the losers bracket, then maybe, just maybe, we can say Common Corp are legit. But of course, they have to pass through the team that they lost to in surprising fashion to Koi. And I said Koi can do something here, but Common Corp in the last 2 series look improved, look controlled, and I feel like Common Corp and G2 could be the rematch here. And as for the grand finals, I think I'm going to go with G2 to win. But maybe Common Corp might prove me wrong again. Who knows? Unfortunately, we have to sadly talk about one team that is pissed so many people off. It's 100 Thieves. Unfortunately, I have to my boy David is not looking great right now. I did mention about the Knicks firing Tom Thibodeau. I did mention it. Oh my god, my goodness, brother. Oh, David, my brother in Christ. How do you live yourself? I'm sorry, man, but this is the worst 3 days of your entire life. I mean, next to like Optic leaving League of Legends, this is probably the worst 3 days, the worst start of June you'll ever have in your entire life. I, I just, I feel you, man. If I were in New York, I'll give you a hug right now, but man, it's been rough. Now, let's talk about the 100 Thieves part, and I am going to go a little bit mental about it. I'm just gonna go. Um, I have something to say about U100 Thieves, and it goes something like this: how do you lose the Shopify Rebellion? How the frig do you lose the Shopify Rebellion? 3-0. Game one was in the hands. Game one was in your hands, and you fumble it like Tony Romo fumbled the snap against the Seahawks. Now, I'm going to do what David said and not going to call out players and management and all kind of stuff, but I am sorry. You are better than this, 100 Thieves. You are better than this. And it's not like you lose it to Shopify once. Oh, no, baby. You lost it to them twice. Twice. Shopify Rebellion with a team of Palafox who have not done well since NRG contracts and Fudge who look like prime 2019's Cloud9. And you lost. 3-0. I just can't. I'm not a 100 Thieves fan and I'm upset. No, I mean, come on, man. Like, look at this. Look at game one. They had like an 8K goal lead. And then Quid, who by the way is probably the best player on the team, probably the MVP of the LCS, decided to walk up forward and get blasted. And the game quickly snowballs from there. It quickly gone to hell. Santa gets scaled, whoop-de-doo, and they lost. And then they lost their heads completely. And not even Riven. You know, Sniper's Riven, which, by the way, was undefeated, cannot do that because you got a Mundo. And sorry, Smolder, 225 stacks cannot kill Mundo. Mundo goes where he pleases. And guess what? He goes straight down to the depths of your souls and rip it out, and you got nothing left. Nothing. So congratulations, 100 Thieves. You just botched probably your most potential season. Now, I don't know what's going on with 100 Thieves. I know David talked about it in his video, you know, about scrim issues and all this kind of stuff, but changes have to be made. Maybe it's the coaching staff, maybe it's the players, maybe it's something, but crap needs to change now because they cannot go like this. You cannot go 3-0 loss to 100 Thieves. You just can't. I'm sorry. There's nothing much to say. Team Liquid just, clap Dignitas. There's nothing much to say. And now, congratulations, 100 Thieves. You just given Team Liquid the freest path to a grand final. Or maybe Shopify Rebellion can pull off a miracle and actually beat Team Liquid. Who knows? But it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And David have every right to be angry. David Wright had to be angry. He swear a couple of things, but he's a 100 Thieves fan. He wear it on his sleeves. He wear it with his heart. And now, the worst case scenario, 100 Thieves might leave League of Legends with nothing to show for. With nothing. Is this what 100 Thieves last dance should be? Is this what 100 Thieves final season of League of Legends comes down to? Crap like this? Listen, I get it. Not every single story have a happy ending. Trust me. But to go on like this, like, come on, man. Come on. My goodness, you got me all right up, man. To a team that I don't even support. But man, I'm sorry, but David had every right to be mad. And I bet 100 Thieves fans should know that too, especially Nate Shot. But he don't care, I guess. Shopify versus Team Liquid, that game is on June 8th. And then FlyQuest versus Cloud9 on June 7th. But remember, Hakeem, the winner of LTA North goes to MSI. Cry me a damn river of this region. LTA South, let's get this over quickly. Loud is gone. If you want to talk about downfall of a team, Loud is a downfall. Oh, how the mighty has fallen down. Loud. Loud has used to be one of the top teams in CBLOL, but they're gone. They're gone. Even Rankins, they're gone as well. So who's remaining? Pain, Furia, Fine, Isworth, and Keedstarts. Remember, LTA South winner also goes to Worlds, but they'll be playing the play-in. Riot, when you created the LTA idea, you not only screwed over the thousands of Brazilian players who play this game with their heart in the sleeves, but now you're going to send them to die. And the problem with this is not just the marketing that I mentioned about it, but the fact that the South America, that the team that is going to go into MSI is going to wear that LTA shirt on their sleeves and representing the crap. Because if that team goes to MSI and loses badly to, like, let's say GAM Esports or CWC Flying Oyster, just to give an example, that is not a CBLOL team. That is an LTA team, which means not only the South will suffer, but also North America, which means they will be part of the embarrassment as much as you do. All for what? For trying to become competitive? You're not even close to being competitive! Not even close! So don't give me that BS! Just kill the LTA right now and bring my CBLOL. At least that's something. But I can't do that. They just can't do that. For the life of me. Just can't. With a $500 RE skins and BS. And Uzi. No. LCP. The playoffs are already begun. DFM, Vikings, Chiefs, and SoftBank Hawks. 07s to them. They are cooked. And look at that. 2 teams qualify for MSI. How rich. So, CWT Flying Oysters are kind of have some close games, of course. They managed to win against GAM. In fact, they picked GAM to win, and then they managed to get a close one. And then they almost, and they reverse swept Talon. Like, holy cow, doggo. Whew. They reverse swept the hell out of Talon. So, that means that CWT Flying Oyster is the second team to qualify for MSI. Yep, they are the second team. And now we have to find out the third team, the next team to qualify. It'll be GAM vs Secret Wales on the 6th of June, and then 7th of June will be the winner of Talon, and then the winner will qualify for MSI and will face off against CWT Flying Oyster the very next day. So all of this will be wrapped up within the week. And that's basically it for the road to MSI. It's not that much, but a lot to talk about. So next week all the pictures will be revealed. So the MSI participants are G2 and CWT Flying Oyster. Yep, there they are. And we'll have another couple of matches to determine who will go to MSI, of course. So let me just look. Yeah. So this is the qualifying matchups. Yep, there it is. These are all the games, and these are all the qualifying matchups. So Final Life Gen G right here. And you got the LPL, of course, LCT, and LPL. So those are the things you need to keep an eye on as we get closer and closer to the mid-season Invitational, which is about 3 weeks. No, the 27th. Okay, the 24 days. Coming up in a couple of hours, I will do a separate video and talk about the very first MSI. the one that has the biggest shock factor, the biggest upset ever, and how this team from LPL, with the most brilliant bot laner ever, Shock, Faker, and one of his most played champions. I think everybody knows what it is, but you gotta stay tuned for that. On behalf of everybody else, and for me, Mackie, I will see you next time. Goodbye.